What happens when a single quiet memo rattles the most powerful person in the country? This is the story of Jasmine Crockett, who stepped forward calmly, only to spark a nationwide reaction. Her announcement was broadcast to millions, and it didn't build slowly. It hit like a switch flipping across the country. A BY 7 a.m. The streets near Capitol Hill looked ordinary, but inside newsrooms from Atlanta to Seattle, producers were scrambling. One name had stormed their morning lineup: Jasmine Crockett. She hadn't planned a dramatic entrance, didn't pose for cameras, and wasn't trying to shake up the political world. She simply walked to a metal podium outside the Rayburn building, folder in hand, and spoke with a steady voice that made people pause mid-scroll. The wind carried snippets of her words down the sidewalk, and even staffers hurrying to work slowed as reporters formed a semicircle around her. A journalist from Phoenix broke the quiet first. "Congresswoman, is it true you have documents from inside the administration?" Jasmine looked at the crowd, then spoke plainly, almost like she was talking to a neighbor rather than the nation. "Yes," she said. "And before anyone jumps ahead, let me be clear, this isn't about drama. This memo simply reveals what some senior officials have been discussing privately." That was enough. Cameras tilted, microphones inched forward, and whispers rippled through the crowd. "This is going to get messy," someone muttered. Another asked, "Where did she even get this?" Jasmine continued. It outlined strategies drafted inside the White House, strategies aimed not at addressing ethical issues, but at minimizing them. The words didn't land gently. They hit hard, leaving the crowd stunned and signaling that what started quietly could shake the nation. The hallway outside had completely changed. Staffers hurried by, tablets in hand. Interns tried to keep up, phones glued to their ears. News crews squeezed past each other, cameras clicking, lights flashing. It looked like a political emergency drill, but it was real that a reporter fell and stepped beside Jasmine. "Congresswoman, one last thing," he said. "Do you think the public will understand the importance of this memo?" She stopped walking and met his gaze. "They will," she said firmly. "People understand more than politicians give them credit for." He nodded, saying nothing more at IT that moment. Every phone in the hallway lit up with a single alert. "The president will speak live at 11:30 a.m. Gasps spread through the crowd. An intern whispered, oh boy, this is going to be something." Jasmine didn't react. She took a steady breath, handed her folder to an aide, and kept walking, calm amid the storm. Everyone around her felt the same tension. Whatever happened next would shape the day in ways no one could predict. The announcement of the president's sudden press conference spread fast. By 11 a.m., major networks had cut away from regular programming. Talk shows, analysts, even a local gardening segment in Ohio, were replaced with live shots from the White House briefing room. Producers whispered instructions. Reporters checked notes. Screens everywhere showed the same text, awaiting remarks from the president. Jasmine sat in her office with two aides, watching the muted broadcast. Papers were stacked on her desk, but none mattered. The room was quiet, not because she was nervous, but because she knew how unpredictable the next few minutes could be. Her aide Lena glanced sideways. "Do you think he'll acknowledge the memo directly?" Jasmine shrugged lightly. "He'll say whatever strengthens his position. That's how he operates." At 11 a.m., the president approached the podium. Reporters called out his name, and he raised a hand to quiet them. His expression was anything but calm. Steps brisk, movements sharp. He gripped the podium and began. "I know everyone's talking about this so-called memo," he said. Reporters tried asking questions, but he waved them off. "This memo is nothing. Total nonsense. I've seen it, I know all about it, and frankly, it's embarrassing that anyone's wasting time on it." He spoke rapidly, trying to outrun the story before it could spread further. Cameras zoomed in as his eyes darted between reporters, cutting them off mid-question. "She doesn't know what she's talking about," he said. "Senior aides write hundreds of things. Most of it isn't real. This memo means nothing." The press room stirred. Journalists exchanged looks. He was rattled. A veteran reporter muttered, "This is the fastest I've seen him respond in months." The president's voice grew louder. "This is another attempt to make something out of nothing. Another attack, always attacking me. and they never get it right. A reporter from Arizona raised her hand. "Sir, are you saying the memo isn't genuine?" "I'm saying it doesn't matter," he snapped. "Even if someone wrote it, it means nothing. Absolutely nothing." His tone shifted from defensive to irritated, each sentence more agitated than the last. A glance at his press secretary showed her urging him to slow down, but he wasn't listening. Another reporter asked if the memo indicated concern about ethics. "There are no ethics issues," he shot back. "We're doing great things, tremendous things. For a member of Congress to pull a stunt like this is ridiculous." Behind the cameras, younger reporters whispered, "He's losing control of the narrative." "Exactly," another replied. Meanwhile, Jasmine watched from her office, arms folded, calm and attentive. She didn't smirk or celebrate. She simply observed, like a doctor reviewing an X-ray. "He seems really bothered," Lena said quietly. "His reaction is louder than the memo." Jasmine replied, "AT the White House." The president continued, "People shouldn't believe every document they see. It's probably misinterpreted, incomplete, or wrong. And she releases it without context? That's dishonest." When asked if his staff tried to downplay internal concerns, he snapped, "Absolutely not. This is a witch hunt. Another witch hunt." Reporters immediately typed into their phones, realizing the clip would go viral that he ended the conference abruptly, stepping away from the podium mid-question. Reporters shouted. Press secretaries followed, creating a chaotic echo. As he left, networks cut to panels analyzing his outburst. Commentators noted that his defensiveness only elevated the memo's significance. Back in her office, Jasmine exhaled slowly. "I need to release a statement," she said. Her words were simple, steady. "Transparency matters, and the public deserves honesty. Nothing more. No fire, no gloating, just calm." That calm would become the contrast everyone talked about for the rest of the day. The real shock came next. How fast the footage spread. The president hadn't been off camera for 10 minutes before a raw, unedited clip of his outburst appeared on social media, posted by a college student in North Carolina. Within seconds, it multiplied across feeds nationwide, showing the stark difference between him and Jasmine and setting the tone for the rest of the day. It was like someone had dropped a lit match onto dry brush. Jasmine's office door was half open, and she could already hear the rising hum of notifications from staffers' phones. Her aide Marcus leaned into the doorway, laptop in hand. "It's everywhere," he said. "Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, even Facebook. Moms are talking about it." Jasmine raised an eyebrow. "Facebook moms?" Marcus nodded. "When they show up this early, something serious is happening." He set the laptop on her desk and pressed play. The clip showed the president cutting off a reporter mid-sentence, his voice sharper than usual, hands waving in frustration. Comments rolled faster than the screen could load. Why is he reacting like this if the memo is nothing? This feels like he's hiding something. He's the one panicking. Another video appeared, a side-by-side comparison posted by a news intern. On the left, Jasmine calmly speaking outside Rayburn. On the right, the president snapping at a reporter. The caption read, "Two different energies." Within minutes, it had reached 500,000 views. Lena stepped into the room, holding her phone. "You need to see this one," she said. She showed a clip from a teacher in Columbus, filming herself in her parked car, reacting to the president's press conference. "This is exactly why transparency matters," the woman said. "Look at how defensive he is. Why not just explain the memo instead of blowing up like this?" The video had 30,000 shares and climbing. Across the country, people were watching. In Austin, a couple paused breakfast to discuss it. "He looks really upset," the wife said. "She got under his skin," her husband replied. In a Detroit barbershop, men gathered around a TV. "This is the first time I've seen him jump this fast," one said. "Jasmine had nerve. You don't react like that unless something's real," another added. Meanwhile, in Phoenix, a bus driver at a red light heard the radio announce that the clip had surpassed 2 million views in less than an hour. It wasn't just politics anymore. It was part of everyday life. At a CVS, someone showed a stranger their phone. "Have you seen this? Look how he snaps back." Outside the Capitol, reporters debated what the memo meant. He keeps calling it nothing, one young journalist said, but his tone makes it feel like everything. Her colleague replied, the public isn't stupid. They read body language more than memos. Jasmine's phone buzzed. Texts from constituents thanked her. Friends encouraged her to stay steady. Even her uncle in Houston, who didn't follow politics, wrote, "Saw the clip. You handled it better than he did." Jasmine smiled softly. Marcus refreshed the trending page. "You're not going to believe this. Your name is trending in every major city: Dallas, Atlanta, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. You're number one. What are people saying?" Jasmine asked. "That you were calm, didn't force drama, and looked like the only grown-up in the room." Jasmine leaned back. "I'm not trying to look like anything. I just told the truth. That's why they're responding this way." Lena said that moment, a political commentary show in D.C. went live. The moderator replayed the clip for a panel of analysts. The first said, "What struck me wasn't just his tone. It's how fast he responded. That's usually a sign of pressure." The second nodded. Jasmine Crockett didn't accuse anyone, didn't sensationalize. She just laid it out plainly. That plainness is powerful. The third, usually supportive of the administration, admitted. Even people who like him can see he looks shaken. That memo got under his skin. Back in her office, Jasmine looked out at the Capitol dome, glowing under the midday light. She didn't smile or celebrate. She breathed slowly and said quietly, "This day isn't close to over." Marcus checked his phone. Networks want afternoon interviews, and a few committees want to speak privately. This thing is only growing. Inside the Capitol, the mood was different. Conversations were quiet but pointed, layered with purpose. Jasmine entered a conference room on the 6th floor. Colleagues were already working. Some leaned over documents. Others typed rapidly. Two spoke softly near the window. Representative Victor Harlan looked up first. "You stirred the whole country before lunch," he said. "That memo is all anyone's talking about." "I didn't stir anything," Jasmine replied. "I just showed the public what they weren't being told." Victor tapped a pen. "Semantics aside, you understand how this looks. The administration is scrambling." A younger congresswoman, Maya Rios, leaned forward. "By the way, that statement you released? Perfect tone. No attacks, no theatrics. People respect that." Jasmine offered a tired smile. "I'm just trying to stay focused." An older lawmaker added, "The president's response made everything 10 times louder. He gave your memo the megaphone." The door opened, and Lena stepped in, holding a sealed envelope. This came from a staffer in the Energy and Commerce Committee. They said it might provide context. Jasmine broke the seal and unfolded the note. It wasn't another memo, just a short note from someone uncomfortable putting their name on it. It explained that staffers were aware of internal discussions about managing optics, though none were supposed to talk publicly. Nothing scandalous, but the tone revealed that people inside the administration felt the weight of these conversations. She passed it to Victor. He read it, exhaled, and said, "That's corroboration, not proof of wrongdoing, but it shows something real is happening behind the scenes." Maya crossed her arms thoughtfully. "So what's next?" "Stay steady," Jasmine replied. "The more frantic they get, the calmer we have to be." Her phone rang. She recognized the number. Representative Alden Brooks, a senior figure who rarely called unless something serious was happening. She answered. "Alden, what's going on?" "Jasmine, you're causing earthquakes out here. I just left a meeting with 2 committee chairs. Their phones haven't stopped buzzing since that clip went viral." "I'm aware," she said. "You didn't accuse the president of anything. You kept it clean, but the way he reacted, people are asking questions. Not small ones. Whatever you do next, be thoughtful." "I always am," she replied. "I know, but this is bigger than all of us right now." When the call ended, Jasmine pressed her hand to the table. She didn't show stress, but she felt the full weight of responsibility. The weight of the day rested on her shoulders, like something she had carried long before today. Maya noticed the shift in her expression. "You all right?" she asked. Jasmine nodded slowly. "I'm fine. It's just when you open a door like this, you can't control how people walk through it." Victor leaned forward. Jasmine, leadership isn't about comfort. You told the truth without exaggeration. That's what matters. Now you follow through the same way. A loud knock interrupted them. Marcus appeared, breathless, laptop in hand. You all need to see this. A senior White House advisor just gave an interview trying to downplay the memo, and he accidentally confirmed sections of what you released. Jasmine blinked. He confirmed it? Not intentionally, Marcus said. But his wording lines up with what we already know. Reporters are circling him like sharks. Victor exhaled. Well, that's the tipping point. Once their own people start fumbling explanations, public trust moves fast. Jasmine gripped the back of her chair. I want transcripts of every interview, every response. We need to monitor the narrative, but stay quiet unless we have something meaningful to add. Marcus nodded and hurried off. Maya looked at Jasmine with quiet admiration. Some people spend their whole careers waiting for a moment like this, a moment to be heard. You didn't chase it, but it came to you. That says something. Jasmine gazed at the table thoughtfully. It says people are tired of being talked down to. They want honesty, clarity, and they know when someone's hiding behind noise. The room fell silent for a beat. Outside, late afternoon light slid across the Capitol dome, glowing with a calmness that felt almost at odds with everything happening inside. That a staffer poked her head in. Congresswoman, 2 more networks want interviews tonight. CNN wants you on their evening panel. Jasmine shook her head. Not yet. Let everything breathe. Victor chuckled. You're choosing patience while the rest of the country is losing its mind. I respect it. She gathered her notes and stood. This isn't about me. It's about what kind of country we want to be. If the afternoon carried tension, the evening would turn that tension into a national debate. Every network would show her composure next to the president's outburst. By early evening, the country felt wired. Major networks reshuffled primetime segments. Anchors rehearsed new intros. Technicians scrambled to load fresh footage. Even local stations in Des Moines and Tulsa bumped regular coverage to follow the growing conversation about the memo and the president's reaction. Jasmine sat in her living room, TV on low, preparing tea. She wasn't a fan of chaos, but she understood the news cycle. Once a story picks up speed, you either hold steady or get swallowed by it. Tonight, she needed to hold steady. Her phone buzzed constantly. Messages from staffers, producers, old colleagues, even a neighbor texting. Saw the clip. Proud of you. She barely had time to read half before Lena arrived, carrying a stack of folders. You're all over the evening lineup, Lena said, placing the folders on the counter. They're running the comparison on nearly every channel. Let me guess, Jasmine said. Side-by-side footage. Lena nodded. Exactly. Your press statement on the left, his reaction on the right. People are reacting hard. The TV volume turned up just as a familiar anchor addressed the camera. Tonight, we analyzed the political shockwave started by a memo released by Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. The screen split. On one side, Jasmine calmly explaining transparency. On the other, the president raising his voice and interrupting reporters. The contrast spoke for itself. The anchor continued. Our analysts will break down what this moment means for the administration, Congress, and the public. The first analyst leaned forward. What strikes me is how candid Crockett was. No dramatics, no accusations, just information. Meanwhile, the president came out defensive and emotional. That contrast is driving the conversation. Another panelist added, when leaders react with that much intensity, people notice, even those who support him. It sends a message he may not want to send. The third analyst said, Crockett didn't challenge him directly. She stated facts. He amplified them by losing control on camera. Marcus knocked on the door. Turned to Channel 7. This next panel is big. They switched to a conservative-leaning panel, dissecting the footage. Even they struggled to defend the president's delivery. The memo itself isn't explosive, one commentator admitted. But the president's reaction is the headline. That's what people are sharing online. Another panelist added, Crockett's calm, measured, and focused. That's resonating everywhere. Jasmine sipped her tea. I didn't plan for it to escalate like this. Lena smiled gently. You didn't escalate anything. You spoke clearly. He responded the way he did. The next segment brought in everyday Americans via video calls. A teacher in Kansas appreciated Jasmine's tone. A firefighter in Maryland said the president looked rattled. A retiree in Florida called her a true leader. On social media, hashtags with her name climbed. People posted screenshots of her statements and freeze frames of the president mid-outburst. A young woman from Atlanta said, "She stayed calm. He fell apart." The clip spread quickly. Back on TV, anchors announced breaking updates. Congress was reacting. Representative Alden Brooks appeared, saying, "What concerns me isn't the memo. It's how the president reacted. Leadership requires composure." Marcus whistled. "That's going to sting." Lena sat beside Jasmine. "You're becoming the face of this moment. Not because you tried to be, but because you handled it with restraint." Jasmine watched another panel replay the clip in slow motion, highlighting the exact moment the president snapped. "This isn't about making him look bad," she said quietly. "It's about making sure the public gets the truth, not strategies to hide it. That's why it works." Marcus added softly, "Exactly." A correspondent outside the White House reported. Staffers were seen going in and out of late meetings. Officials declined to comment. Behind him, tourists whispered, "We saw it live. He was mad." Jasmine sighed. "This is spiraling faster than I expected." Lena gave a reassuring smile. "Maybe, but you're not the one spiraling." As the next network prepared another round of analysis, Jasmine muted the TV. "I need a clear head," she said. No matter what tomorrow brought, she would hold steady. Tomorrow wouldn't bring calm. It would bring something far bigger. Jasmine stepping fully into the national spotlight. As a voice millions now wanted to hear, warning arrived without waiting for anyone to catch their breath. The memo story had grown from trending news to a national conversation about leadership, honesty, and the standards Americans expected from their government. Jasmine woke to a phone that wouldn't stop vibrating. Alerts, missed calls, dozens of messages from people she hadn't spoken to in years. Even her childhood pastor left a voicemail, saying he was praying for her strength. She sat up, taking a moment of silence, then stepped out of bed. Today wasn't about the memo. It was about what she represented to people watching from living rooms, buses, hospitals, and break rooms across the country. When she arrived at her office, Lena and Marcus were waiting with coffee and a stack of reports. "You won't believe how much coverage you got overnight," Marcus said, handing her a tablet. "It's everywhere. People are calling your approach a breath of fresh air." Jasmine scrolled through headlines. One network called her the calm voice Washington needed yesterday. Another labeled her a reminder of what restraint looks like. Hundreds of ordinary citizens had shared their reactions. Teachers, truck drivers, college students, veterans. One video caught Jasmine's eye. A middle-aged man in Dallas said, "She didn't throw insults. She didn't shout. She just told the truth. That matters." Another came from a young woman in Portland. "I don't follow politics much, but Crockett made sense. She talked like a real person, not someone trying to win an argument." Jasmine set the tablet down, thoughtful. "I didn't expect this." Lena smiled. People respond to authenticity. Yesterday, you gave them something real. Her phone rang again. Jasmine answered. Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman. She said that IT was Representative Alden Brooks. Networks want a statement this morning. Not a reaction, something bigger. "Bigger?" she asked. "You've become the center of this conversation," he explained. "People want to hear what this moment means, not politically, but morally." A pause. Jasmine replied quietly, "I'll speak later today, after I gather my thoughts." When the call ended, she walked to the window overlooking the Capitol grounds. The city looked normal, security guards switching shifts, staffers hurrying inside, tourists taking pictures. Everything on the surface seemed ordinary, but Jasmine could feel the shift beneath it all. Marcus approached. "You don't have to do anything dramatic. Just talk like you did yesterday." "That's exactly what I planned to do," she said at Y noon. The hallway outside her office was packed. Microphones lined up, cameras positioned, producers checking lighting. The moment she stepped into view, dozens of voices called her name. She didn't raise her hands or strike a pose. She simply walked forward with quiet steadiness. "Congresswoman," a reporter called. After the reaction this memo sparked, "What do you want the American people to understand today?" Jasmine looked out at the sea of faces, tired, impatient, curious. She spoke with the same clarity as the day before. "I want people to know that leadership isn't about pretending problems don't exist. It's about acknowledging them and working to fix them. Yesterday wasn't about creating conflict. It was about being honest with the public. And honesty should never be treated like a threat." A second reporter asked, "Do you think the president overreacted?" "I think everyone saw what they saw," she replied. "People can decide for themselves what that reaction meant." Another journalist asked, "Do you plan to release more information?" "I'll keep prioritizing transparency," Jasmine said, "not to embarrass anyone, not to score points, but because people deserve clarity from those representing them." A moment passed. The press grew quiet, waiting. Jasmine continued, "We can't build trust if we focus more on managing stories than addressing the reasons those stories exist. This isn't about partisanship, it's about responsibility. I hope whoever watched yesterday, whether they agreed with me or not, walked away understanding why truth matters." Reporters exchanged glances, typed her words quickly. The tone she struck was not combative, but grounding. The young journalist asked softly, "What do you hope people take away from all this?" "Calm is more powerful than outrage," Jasmine said without hesitation. "Clarity is stronger than noise. Real leadership means staying steady, even when others don't." Her words carried quiet force, landing without volume but hitting hard. She stepped back from the podium. "Thank you for your time." As she walked away, the reporters buzzed with reactions, controlled, measured, recognizing that she knew exactly what she was doing. Inside her office, she finally exhaled. Lena handed her a bottle of water. That was perfect. Jasmine looked at her team, then at the doorway where the faint hum of the hallway still drifted in. "I just want people to expect more from their leaders," she said, "and expect more from themselves, too." Marcus closed his laptop. "Well, you gave them a reason to." That afternoon, networks replayed her new statement. People across the country listened. By evening, polls showed something surprising. Her favorability had jumped. Not a little, but in a wave. People appreciated how she handled the storm. Not with anger, not with theatrics, but with truth. Jasmine hadn't set out to become a national figure overnight. But sometimes leadership doesn't ask if you're ready. It simply arrives and waits to see how you respond. She responded with clarity, and millions noticed that in the end, the lesson was clear. Calm doesn't mean weak. Transparency isn't naive. And truth spoken plainly can cut through noise louder than any outburst ever could. If you're watching this, remember, leadership starts with honesty. And sometimes courage looks like steadiness, even when the world expects chaos.